jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.
Big shout out to the hottest chat in the MF game. A-side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know WCS the first in the building. This is the UFC 300 post review. What an incredible, amazing, awesome fight card this was. And I'm going to just go over some of the fights that took place. I'm not going to go over the entire card. But I am going to start with Kayla Harrison, who was coming from PFL, you know what I'm saying, fighting 155 pounds. This is them right here. And she only had one loss. She took her first loss in the PFL. This was a high-level judoka, Olympic champion. And Holly Holmes was a multi-time boxing champion and also former bantamweight women's world champion in the UFC. And she was the first one to halt Ronda Rousey's win streak over here. All right, just to let you know. Holly's considered a legend, real talk. She's did everything she needed to do. But last night she was in there with a very, very quality judoka technician. You already know judo deals with throws and deals with grappling. So both fighters made weight, the bell rings, and, it was some posturing at first, filling each other out. And then they got right to it, before that, there wasn't really no punches landed. But she decided to get in the clinch with Kayla. And the clinch game is Kayla's freaking, bread and butter. So once they was in the clinch, it was a takedown. Kayla Harrison put on the hips. And, was able to get her on her back early. Holly was in pretty decent space. She was able to get a sweep, showing strong hips. That's the same thing she did with Ronda. But this was an absolute different judoka player in the game. So they kind of stayed on the ground a little bit, light punches here and there. And then Holly was able to get up to her feet. After that, Kayla assessed it, collected data. And the next time, Holly really couldn't do anything. She took her back down. And this was all the first round. She took her back down. And she was landing some heavy, vicious ground and pound on Holly. I was impressed at how lethal her elbows were from the top position. I was like, jeez, this girl, she's serious. You know what I'm saying? She got some serious in her top position strikes. So Holly Holm survived that. You know what I'm saying? She took very minimal damage at that point in time. But then the second round came. Kayla Harrison put up against the cage again. Took her down. This time it was pretty bleak for Holly Holmes. You know what I'm saying? She definitely transitioned and earned a dominant back control over Holly Holmes, and she was working for submission. He ended up getting a choke. And she ended up choking out, rear naked choke. You know what I'm saying? Kayla Harrison improved to 17-0. I mean, I wouldn't say that was pretty easy to fight to believe that was going to happen, but a lot of people thought it was going to be a submission. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kayla Harrison, man. She is a lethal fighter. Aljamain Sterling, what can you say? Former bantamweight world champion. Very underrated wrestling pedigree. And very underrated as a fighter, period, just based off his stint at 135 pounds on how he picked up the title. Calvin Kattar, very tough. Been in there with some fighters where he had some good fights. His fight with Max Holloway and was when he came up short, but both of them was firing and off on all cylinders, man. All magazines was loaded, and they had a nice little bloody affair. Well, yesterday I was impressed with Sterling being able to control him up against the cage and pretty much show how dominant his wrestling was. I thought Kayla would at least worked on more takedown defense than that. But that's pretty much how the whole fight went. Only thing I say, when Aljamain does have top position and was able to get the takedown, he doesn't really do too much or apply a lot of damage from the top position in this case. He might do some pity pats here and there, but in order for him, when he starts up in the competition, he's either gonna have to work for a submission or, do a little bit more GMP while holding down those positions because he can get it done for sure. It's not anything difficult for him. You know what I'm saying? And that was Aljamain. He ended up winning by decision, third round. You know what I'm saying? The fight went 3 rounds. That's what I meant to say. Let's go to the next one. Jiri Prochazka, the samurai himself. He was coming off a knockout loss to Pereira, and Aleksandar Rakic. He was a tough fight, man. Early on, he was hitting Prochazka with some very solid shots, and it seems like it was going to be a striking affair. But when you stand across the ring with one of the most awkward strikers in mixed martial arts, Prochazka, then it gets to a point where you say somebody's getting knocked out. Somebody's getting hurt because these guys both are refusing to use consistent defense. Their hands are down and they're throwing punches and they doing it with bad intentions. So Prochazka has showed he can get knocked out, but Rakic hit him a couple of times. He seemed to take it well, and the first round went by, and I would say that round could have went to Rakic. You know what I'm saying? Then round 2, it started to pick up, and I don't know. It was a pretty close fight. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, it was a pretty close fight. But I thought Rakic was landing the better shots in round 2. And I was saying, well, I think near the end, the final minute of the round, it's a 5-minute round. I think Jiri was starting to land some of those awkward combinations. And one thing I like about him, he does cut off the cage pretty damn good. So he was able to land some of those combinations, those awkward combinations, man. And a lot of them was accurate. And also the pressure that he put on Rakic, I felt started breaking him down a little bit and kind of worked on his cardio, depleted his cardio earlier than possible. And then the third round, man, they had some violent exchanges between one another. Heavy shots landed. Rakic ended up getting hurt, and Prochazka went after them, hitting him. You know what I'm saying? They had a brief break, and then he landed another punch on him. Arguably, he's still dazed from the other punch combinations that was out there, so he wasn't quite recovered. And Jiri took advantage of it, of course, and ended up getting a stoppage. You know what I'm saying? He did his job. Shout out to the samurai. I'm glad you got that done. Bo Nickal, of all the fighters that was on the card, that's a new prospect coming up in the UFC ranks. That's Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal is liked amongst the fight fans, a highly decorated NCAA wrestler. You know what I'm saying? He has been in some big name grappling. Gordon Ryan was one that he wrestled with. You know what I'm saying? But he was in there with a tough opponent, Cody Brundage. And when the bell rang, Cody went straight at Bo Nickal, man. It seemed like he heard him too. I don't think Bo Nickal was waiting for that type of energy or for him to press the gas over and close distance like he did. But he got it together. He got it together. And after Bo, got lit up a couple of times, it looked like he was hurt. What did he do? He went back to what he knows. He went back to what he was great at. And that is his wrestling. Push him up against the cage and end up getting the takedown. With that said, it was a lot of time on the ground with takedowns, and Bo wasn't doing too much either with the takedowns. He was just laying over there. I'm surprised the referee didn't warn them a little bit more than what they was doing, but he didn't do too much in my opinion. I wanted to say, okay, it's time for you to do this, and this, but I really wasn't getting that from Bo Nickal. But I'm not saying he wasn't fighting on the street. When they was on their feet, he was fighting pretty good, But throughout the fight, Bo Nickal, I think in the third round, he ended up getting another takedown. That's after he had rushed in for a level change on Brundage, and Brundage just threw him off into the cage like he was a old, a old suitcase that they didn't want anymore, and he just tossed that shit on the baggage claim, and that's how he tossed Bo Nickal over there, and Bo Nickal got up, and Brundage was walking over there with his arms out and shit, talking about let's go. Before you know it, hey, he was on the ground. That's how it goes. And he transitioned, gained back, and then subbed him out with RNC. That's simple. Arman, Tsarukyan, and Charles Oliveira was a fight. One of the fights on this card I was looking for. Tsarukyan is a tough dude. Charles Oliveira had him one of the most tightest guillotine chokes. I'm talking for a high-level BJJ grappler. You're trying to tell me this dude, Arman, got out of it. I mean, I'm talking about full-blown guillotine choke and tight. Man. Come on, man. And this guy got out of it. And they had some back and forth exchanges. Some with the hands. Some was on the ground. Arman is not weak on the ground either. He's pretty damn decent. He's pretty fluent. But I expected more domination from Oliveira, especially on the feet. But when he was getting taken down and working off his back, he gave away some minutes, some real valuable minutes. So he ended up losing the decision split against Arman. He improves in 34-10, Arman 22-3. But that was a grappling going on there. Because at the end of, I think, round 1, it seemed like Charles Oliveira had him in a triangle choke. But nothing of it because it wasn't that much time left on the clock. Max Holloway, man. Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, I would say fight of the night. Basically throughout the first 2 to 3 rounds or whatever, they was both landing significant strikes, whether it be front kick. I know Justin Gaethje was landing some tough, stinging, stiff, low calf kicks. It was swelling the leg up on Max Holloway, but Max is a warrior, man. He didn't care about none of that. But they were some brutal kicks, though. And then Max, he started, switching it up. He started landing reverse kicks in the breadbasket of Justin Gaethje, slowing him down. And then they was exchanging and landing some punches on one another. Both of them was landing effective punches. I think Max Holloway a little bit more than Gaethje. He was a little bit more accurate, linear. You know what I'm saying? He was pretty much paying attention to his distance. And they was going back and forth. And then I think in the second round, Gaethje hit him and dropped him. And I think that's the first time Max been dropped. I don't know. But anyway, they kept on fighting it out until they got to the final round. And, Gaethje tried to do this, what it looked like an Imanari roll or whatever. But when he got up, Max did his patented, summon you to the center of the square and bang out. Who's willing to leave it all in the cage? Who's willing to go out on their shield? And he did this with Ricardo Lamas. He did this with several fighters. And Justin Gaethje obliged, right? Ended up getting slapped. The worst, one of the most brutal knockouts in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Justin Gaethje tried to bang it out right there to close out the fight. And at 2 seconds left in the fight, Justin Gaethje was snoring. He already had a broken nose or something like that. He was snoring. So one of my fighters, shout out to Zhang Weili and Yan. They was a co-main event. What was special about this fight is that you have two fighters who are damn near the same height. You know what I'm saying? And they're strikers. You can tell they're strikers. But Zhang's skill set just bring a little bit more tools to their arsenal. And she showed that she was a stronger fighter in the clinch, and she was able to get the takedowns. and she exposed Jan for pretty much having an underdeveloped grappling game. She hasn't got there yet. Jan was from training out of Team Alpha Male. So the fight was interesting. You know what I'm saying? I felt that Zhang did a great job with putting away some rounds early on, and then Yang, she tried to keep it standing up, and it seemed like Zhang was getting a little bit fatigued. But when she came out in the fourth, you know, she was back to her old self. You know, got some takedowns, landed some punches, um, really controlled the fight with Jan. And Jan coaches was telling her, "Hey, we need you to stay off the ropes. I mean, stay off the cage. Just stay off the cage and keep it here, there, and the other." Well, when you have a level changer, a fighter that's saying, "Okay, I can level change on her at any given time. I just need to make sure that I don't waste any time." You know what I'm saying? Shooting and it don't happen. So, you know, she planned it well. Wait for the exchange to happen, then level change, put on her back. And it was several times where it seems like she was gonna get the sub of Jan, but she didn't. You know what I'm saying? They end up going to the final bell, and obviously Zhang won that fight. It was a good fight, but it wasn't a barn burner. It wasn't a barn burner. Alex Pereira went in there and closed out Jamahal Hill. Closed him out, y'all. And I was like, damn. He closed that man in the opening standard, y'all. Anybody who has that much energy and do a brain dump like that, I'm telling you, they always crap the pot. And this man, Alex Pereira, is a silent, vicious assassin. This man went in there and landed accurately on Jamahal Hill's face, and he went down, and the fight was over. And man, that was the easiest main event. I'm saying to myself that people was expecting to be a knock him out, drag out fight, because Jamahal Hill never lost his title in the cage, and I thought him coming back to the sport, he would be able to put some rounds in and show how he's improved. But you know, that chin, man, that chin is defeated. That chin is defeated. And Alex Pereira, you know, moves his record up to 10-2. And the dude is awesome to watch, man. I wonder who he's gonna fight next. I would definitely like to see him fight somebody of notoriety next. You know what I'm saying? So as the title says, it's a UFC 300 post review. Gaethje brutal knockout. Harrison sub and Pereira stops. Hill easy. I want to kind of switch lanes right here and talk and speak on how Mario Barrios is talking about they was on board to get the fight before Team Ennis signed with the Zone, right? So what he was saying, you know, they was all ready to go. They was all for the fight. And I guess it didn't happen because they was high risk, low reward, like they always said. We all look, if every fight is gonna be high risk, low reward, just stop boxing, period. Because if people think they all are not on the same level, let's just stop boxing, period. But at the end of the day, Barrios, he said, you know, they put something out there I want you to pay attention to. All right, that's dealing with PBC. I want you to pay attention. That's dealing with PBC. This is Boxing News 24. And I just want to take you through this article right quick. Let me see. Let's listen to this audio.
Never turned down an opportunity to fight him. So obviously he went with the zone now, but you know, we're with Aljamain, and I know Aljamain, he'll let us fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. So maybe that's something that could.
Y'all heard Mario signed with Aljamain, but his coach just said he'll let them fight anybody anywhere. Y'all hear that? So I know we've been hearing like they don't want to co-promote with David Benavidez. A couple other fighters they don't want nobody else to touch it. But you know, Team Mario Barrios is saying that they know he'll let them fight somewhere else.
Could be put together at some point too with Boots, but obviously he took off to the zone for whatever reason, and so we'll see. Boots, Crawford, any of those guys.
What do you think of Boots heading out? Were you disappointed at all, like, because you wanted to make that fight?
A little bit, because we agreed to the fight.
Wait,
you know,
he said they agreed to the fight. Boots Sanders, Mario Barrios agreed to the fight. They agreed to the fight.
Agreed to the fight, or
yeah, we agreed. We agreed to fight him. They approached us and said, "Would you be willing to fight him?" And I told everybody in every interview and with the company or whatever, of course we would fight him. You know, why wouldn't we fight him? You know, we had to fight Gervonta Davis at 140 pounds. We had a tough time making that weight, but we still went through with it. We didn't bitch, we didn't cry, we didn't moan. We went through with the fight. Then the very next fight, we jumped.
This is for instruction purposes only. You know what I'm saying? This is from Boxing News 24. And the video itself, I forgot the title, but we'll find out the title.
Jumped up to 147, no tune-ups, no anything. We went right into a Keith Thurman fight. So, you know, Mario Barrios is about it. He'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere.
right? But Boots is being looked at as a gigantic risk, low reward guy. But you weren't surveying it like
you
that.
know, the way I looked at it is he's a tremendous talent. That's why they make the fights. You know, he had a belt. So at the time, even before the Ugas fight, we didn't have a bout. Now we have a bout. He has a bout. So whether it's a unification or whatever, but you know, Barrios is about taking on challenges. So from that regard, high risk, low reward.
I like how you said Mario Barrios is all about taking on challenges. I like Mario's El Azteca. You know what I'm saying? He's a warrior when he fights. You know, so if they had that lineup with Boots and Boots them left, I'm not sure what he left. You know what I'm saying? Why did he leave them like that? He could have just told them I don't want to fight and, you know, keep it moving. But if he felt like he didn't have to let them know, give them an FYI, they relocating over there, going across the water, then hey, that's boxing, that's communication, lack thereof. So I wouldn't make no big deal over it. But you know, at the end of the day, it would have been good to see Boots fight somebody. I'm pretty sure Eddie Hearns can make that fight. If they're saying that Aljamain will allow them to fight with anybody, they can still make that Boots Mario Barrios fight. You know what I'm saying? That's a quality opponent. That's a quality opponent right there, y'all. That's a quality opponent. No doubt about it. I would like to see that fight. And let me close this out by saying this. Look, I will get back on boxing tomorrow, but peep this out. When I'm putting hot grease on somebody, y'all already know by now. When you have a clear understanding that you're in the chat, and we have a stray over here, a stray that I've known for a while now, and me and him do not have favorable. We don't have favorable, you know what I'm saying, respect between one another, right? Please, if you're in the chat, please don't tell me to drop the link. A link does nothing but allow someone to come over your panel and out-talk you. And you have to understand that I've been around the block and back and on the block again and back and down the block and up the hill and back from the block. when it comes to this type of dang resistance that he was giving you, he was over here crying about. You have to understand, there's no need for me to invite him on this panel when he leave other people in the background and don't freaking bring them on deck. See, people wouldn't know that because they busy trying to say, "Oh, bring him on the panel for what? For him to argue and try to overtalk me?" It's no room for an articulate conversation when all that person can do in their small depth of vocabulary is cuss you out and call you the regular bitch ass nigga. Try to talk like he a straight up thug, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he rolling with the Cap Crips. You know what I'm saying? Or a gang called the Hoodie Homies. For real. I mean, I don't need people telling me to drop the link. It's not happening. Nobody's gonna control me to drop the link. I'm talking about when they come over here mad and upset, they talking about dropping the link to do what? Overtalk me? Because I'm not gonna meet your energy. Because we're not gonna get anywhere. It's not gonna be effective for the audience. They're not gonna understand what the hell we saying. It's just gonna be the same stuff, rah, back and forth. Somebody got to be put on mute. And last time I checked, if it was my channel, yeah, somebody got to go on mute into the, what it said. But if he had some type of common sense and he used his brain cells, accordingly, then you have a conversation. But there's no need to invite him on my panel and because he's a child, man. When you have a nigga number like that and you call him up because they try to act like, you got my number, why you didn't call me? And they try to act like they didn't know who WCS is, playing little kid games. I don't have time for him to be invited on my panel, but I will talk. I will give a reaction to your content, a reaction. That's it. And I did what I did with the reaction. That's all you need to know. But as far as all this link, most of the time when I drop a link here, the link is pretty much to have a panel and talk about the topic. If I feel it's a link that needs to be dropped for some smoke, then, I'll drop it. But that wasn't smoke to me. That wasn't smoke because when I called him up at home, he didn't pick up the phone. He wanted to play little kiddie games. You know what I'm saying? When it was time for me to try to, get up on the panel, they have you sitting in the background forever. So yeah, there's no need for me to bring him on the panel. And lastly, Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is straight up like that, clout chasing. You know what I'm saying? He put out, I respect Crawford and what he has reached, but I want to kick his ass just one. Let's fucking go, bitch. So he called Crawford a bitch, right? And, all that's going to do is just, allow Crawford to have just one more place to go before he actually, get locked in for his fight. And last time I checked, he was on the boat fishing. So he's good to go for an open schedule right now from what it seems until all this other stuff play out in the next couple of weeks. But Ryan Garcia, it's just you cloud chasing his name. And you could have said whatever you going to say to my respect Crawford and what he has reached, but I want to kick his ass just cause. Okay, done. It's over. Close it out. But you call a man a bitch, though. And Crawford is the type of guy that'll run up on you. And I heard Tio come out here to my, I'm the type of guy, I don't want to have to test my gangster. I keep that shit. Bro, it's not going to matter what you test. You better test for freaking COVID. Because once Crawford get his hands on you, he going to make you feel like you was on it. I mean, these boxers all coming from Crawford just further proves that he's the man right now. That's all that is. He is say he's the man. And we're going to be highly, happy, elated once this news break in the upcoming weeks. But Ryan Garcia is a straight up clout chaser. That's what he's doing. Makes no sense to me. Just a straight up blatant clout chaser, man. But we'll be back on tomorrow. We'll be back on tomorrow. I didn't want to, stay on too long. But once again, shout out to everybody who came through. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Christopher White with the super chat donation. Appreciate you. Shout out to the news by Shaw News Sauce Experience in the building. Salute to you, man. Team Tucker official on deck. He's back in the ring in June. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely looking forward to that. One of the greatest boxers in the game right now is back in the ring in June. So continue to keep your eyes peeled for Mr. Clout Chaser himself. And continue to pay attention to who is Jahal Tucker on IG. You know what I'm saying? Everything they got going on out there really is, you know, you might want to pay attention to the growth that's out there. Big time. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Warriors on UFC 300. Dana White did an amazing job, man. You know what I'm saying? Great work. Real talk, great work. But we're gonna definitely come back and you know, talk this boxing. Until next time, y'all hold it down. Continue to support. I appreciate, you know, once again, donation received by Christopher White today. Salute to you. Thank you. And we should do it again. I'm out. Peace.